So our special guest today is Martin Tracey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in writing?
Yeah, so I'm not too far from you, I think, in terms of neck of the woods, which I don't know if that's a Brummie saying, but I'm from Birmingham. So not, as I said, in the Midlands of the UK, so not too far. I got into writing really. It's a bit of a convoluted story. So, and I'll came full circle and I'll explain that. So what it was, at the age of 6-ish, I won 2 back-to-back competitions for writing stories at my junior school, and which kind of gave me an early insight into, okay, I must be pretty good with words. But music was really always my first love. And so I went on to write songs and play in bands with the usual sort of teenage gusto that, I'm going to be a pop star. I didn't quite make that. I had some limited success, I guess, and some modest success. Did get a song called Raging Bull published or produced on Cherry Red Records. It's on a song about my beloved Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's on a CD, rather, about my beloved Wolverhampton Wanderers, and it's still available on streaming platforms now. I did get to support Roland Gift and the Final Cannibals. Did get a couple of interviews in RAK Studios and also Chrysalis, but long story short, I didn't quite get over the line, shall we say. And when it come to a time where I thought, I need to think probably of moving away from the music scene. It just felt natural. I went back to writing then, and I thought, well, I love music, but everyone has that saying, we've all got a book inside us. So I wrote my first book, Beneath the Floodlights, which has some musical influence, but it's actually more about football. It's about vampires taking over a football team, which is a bit of an unusual one. But
yeah.
But basically, music. I'm 6 novels on later now. I do discographies as well. Music does play an important part in my writing now. But going back to that saying, everyone's got a book in them. I just got the bug, and from there, I've just carried on writing and actually really enjoyed the process. So that's how I got into it, Crystal. Sorry if that was a long answer.
No, it's however long the answer needs to be. So what drew you into the horror scene, the horror genre specifically?
Well, I love the real sort of iconic sort of gothic characters. So growing up, the Hammer House of horror films, as a little kid, I don't know if I should have been allowed to watch them, but I actually loved them. I love the imagery of it. So your Frankensteins, your Draculas. I love Oliver Reed anyway as an actor, and I thought he'd done an amazing job in The Curse of the Werewolf. So Werewolf, again, another iconic character. And then I remember Salem's Lot coming out, the adaptation of the Stephen King novel, with David Soul playing the part. James Mason was in it. And I thought, this is just so brilliant. So it was all quite visual at first, but I just loved that horror. And you'd listen to people just come up with the odd ghost story and things. And I was just always intrigued into that side of things. So that's why, became a natural thing for me to write dark fiction, really, because I think there's another saying, isn't there? You want to write books that you'd want to read, and you kind of want to write books that you kind of know and appreciate the topics. So that's why horror, dark fiction, however you want to badge it, sort of became my thing, really, or part of my thing.
Yeah. So what was the first horror story that you ever wrote?
Yes, it was Beneath the Floodlights, and I had this idea originally of werewolves taking over a football team, because me being a Wolves fan, I started to play around with that and thinking, well, what if Wolves were werewolves? But then when it came to be werewolves only really sort of are active every 28 days under a full moon, etc., I thought that limited the scope of what I wanted to do with the story. So I also love films like The Lost Boys and From Dusk Till Dawn, really good, hard-hitting vampire movies, and so it became vampires. It just morphed from werewolves to vampires, and I thought there was a good storyline there. I don't think it's something anyone's done before where vampires take over. And I based it in the Midlands, so it's a Birmingham football team. It's a fictitious one. But, they are a Premier League team. They get relegated and they need a bit of help. And I had this sort of idea of a nest of vampires, of very young vampires, led by a master vampire. But they actually were fantastic footballers, and he brings them over to England, all very mysterious. But they join the team, and under the floodlights, where it's it starts to get dark. That's when vampires get a little bit more active, and their powers grow, etc. So they just become phenomenal footballers when it's the night games. So that's why I needed them to have been relegated, because there's more night games in the Championship. So there you go.
Is that because Wolverhampton Wanderers need the help?
Oh, that's a good question. I thought you might be a Wolves fan from Dudley, but clearly you're not.
No.
No. I mean, Gary O'Neill, at the moment, as we speak, Gary O'Neill's a manager, and he's doing all right, to be honest, considering the start he's had. He came in exceptional circumstances. I think he had a week to know the players before our first Premier League game. And we're not favourites to certainly do anything brilliant this year. But so far, he's done all right. And as long as we keep our heads above the relegation zone this year, we'll be all right. And I think we will, to be honest. I think we will. But do we need some help? Probably could do with some help. Do I want it to be in the form of vampires? Probably not.
Oh, my daughter's a diehard Aston Villa fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she doesn't like Wolves.
By rights, I should be a Villa fan because I live in North Birmingham and that's where I grew up. But it wasn't to be for me. So there you go. So, but plenty of my friends are Aston Villa fans.
So, walk us through the process for you developing a story. Where do your ideas normally come from?
So my ideas normally come from a very vivid imagination, where you probably had an insight into that already with that very first book. And I have a gem of an idea, and I do try and get that gem of an idea and make it as original as possible to start with. And what I'll do then is plot out a framework. Rather than a rigid plan, I plot out a framework, bit of a chapter plan, but that will inevitably change when I come to write. I know some authors, for example, they know the ending of their book before they even write the rest. I'm not like that. I have that idea, and I like to hear where the idea takes me and where the characters take me. And so I'll never know how. So it's quite a loose process for me personally, which I like that, because I like to write the shackles off, have a bit of freedom, and pull different inspirations in along the way, which makes it...
So you're not much of a plotter?
No, not really. I mean, I do have it. Eventually there will be a plot. There'll always be that kind of high level plot. But I guess my writing has layers and subplots as well, because there's quite a lot going on, which is a challenge because you don't want to lose the reader, I think by having the layers, what you can do then is have the twists and turns, and the cliffhangers, all that good stuff that keeps it an interesting story to the end and keeps the reader guessing it as much as possible to the end. But I write really just how my brain works and how. So I just go for writing. I'm sure other authors do this. I'll just go for it and let it all flow. It just flows. Sometimes it's like it's not even me writing. I'm in that zone that much, and the words are just flowing. But obviously, you have to go back at the end and check it makes sense. Check for continuity. Check for edits, typos, the rest of it. But at first, it's just about getting it down. Just get it down at first, and worry about the rest after. Yeah,
that's. I think sometimes that's the right way to do it, because while you're editing, you could be losing an idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're like me and you forget stuff all the time.
Oh, yes.
So are there Oh, I've lost my place. 2 seconds.
Right.
Right. So, are there any of your characters or plots inspired by your own experiences or fears?
Ooh, good one. I've got the Judd Stone series, which is a little bit more of a private investigation series. My two actual horror books are standalones, but Judd does have things happen to him. So I'm on book 5 and 6 now, the Judd Stone series. And he does have things happen to him in the supernatural world, and he has dealt with Ouija boards, etc., etc. But going back to your question, in Things They'll Never See, which is about a rock star from the 80s who buys, and he starts to lose his way as a solo artist. He's broke up from his band, and the 90s are in, and so the book's set in the 90s, and grunge are on the scene, Oasis and the Britpop are on the scene, and he's losing credibility as a rock star, and plus a lot of things are going bad in London where he is, and he's a native of the Peak District. Most of my books are actually set in Birmingham, but he goes to the Peak District and he buys a haunted house.
Yeah.
Now, as part of that story, he goes on and this kind of happened to me. So if you think about it, I was on Mount Brandon in Ireland, and I've translated this part of the story to a mountain in the Peak District. But the same experience that Jake Zenner, the rock star, goes through is what I went through. And we were going up Mount Brandon with my 3 buddies in Ireland, in Kerry, and it was just, there was one peak too many, and I thought, I don't want to do that one peak too many. So it was quite a different layers and levels of peaks we were going up. And my one friend, Dominic, he had a map, and he says, it's all right, Martin. If you look at this map, there's a wall. If you follow the wall around the side of the mountain, you'll come out to the end, and we'll meet you there. We'll go up and down. I says, okay, that sounds like a plan. Now I start to go around the mountain, and there's all these goats and sheep hanging on like they do miraculously on little ledges. And I noticed this wall disappeared, so I couldn't hang on it. And it looked a bit too dodgy to go back. It looked too dodgy to go up, and it certainly looked too dodgy to go on. But I thought, what am I going to do? And I had visions of like mountain helicopters coming in that. So I thought, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go straight on.
Yeah.
And and it would have been dangerous, absolutely, no shadow of a doubt. And what happened was, and this is what happens to Jake in the story, a cloud come from nowhere and totally consumed me and my vision. So I couldn't move. I just had nowhere to move, because it would have, obviously I wouldn't have been able to see what I was doing. So I thought I'm going to have to at least wait till the cloud passes. And when it did pass, my friends were above me, and they helped me get up. So there you go. But interestingly, something happened to me in the Peak District only a couple of years ago after I wrote this book. So I love the Peak District anyway, but I went to this, and people will listen to this, Crystal, and I know they go, "Oh, he's a liar," he's making that. But I don't really care if people think that, because I've been cynical all my life. I like ghosts. I've always had an open mind and that, but I thought, I kind of always took it with a pinch of salt. So I don't really care if people believe me or not. But this is what happened. So we booked a little breakaway in the Peak District for my birthday a couple of years ago. We went into this, it was a beautiful cottage. I'll keep it nameless and I'll keep the village nameless. But when we read the welcome pack, we got there and it was for sale. So it was a holiday let, but it was for sale. And we thought, okay, that's interesting. So why is it for sale? We went in, we looked at the welcome pack, and it said that this particular property once used to be downstairs a slaughterhouse, and it also has a well within the house that would feed the village, and et cetera, et cetera. It had its own well, and there was a slaughterhouse. So you already start to think, well, if it's a slaughterhouse, I understand that was potentially for animals, but what could it have, could humans have been slayed there back then? Police proceedings wasn't what it was. You're in the middle of the countryside sector. So we got thinking about that. This particular place where the slaughterhouse was and where the well is was locked. It was locked. Now, every morning when we got out of bed, we'd come down, and from that doorway, from that locked door, was muddy footprints coming away from it. So I cleaned them up. Next morning, they'd be there again. And it's like, okay, I don't quite like it. Yeah. And also, the latches, they were like old latch doors. They used to open on their own. And you know, it took some effort to open them as a human, let alone whatever was opening them. It's not something there was no windows open, blowing them open. And also one night, I didn't tell my wife till we got home because I didn't want to freak her out. I actually woke up and there was a dark figure standing at the side of the bed, and then he slowly disappeared from the top of his head down to the bottom. So that was my experience of what I think was real life supernatural things.
And now you know why the cottage was for sale?
Now I know why the cottage was for sale, yeah. Nothing to add, I haven't bought it. But it was a lovely, you know, on the flip side, it's a lovely holiday. Like, and it's funny although, you know, that when I saw the figure, that really sort of freaked me out. But it's funny, you always think you'll run a mile if you're ever in that position, but you kind of don't. You kind of deal with it. Do you know what I mean? It's like weird. Yeah. There you go.
No, I mean, I know you say some people will think, oh, he's just a liar, but in this day and age, there is a lot that is out there that people just don't understand.
Correct. Agreed.
It's like UFOs and things like that, isn't it? People see them, but they just don't understand them. Yeah.
You can't understand or explain something. I think the human reaction for a lot of people is to sort of just negate it and squash it, and because it's too hard to deal with or something, can it?
Exactly.
I'm with you. I think there's things out there we still don't know. And why would we? You know, it's an ever-evolving world after 2,000, millions of years with dinosaurs, etc. So,
yeah,
you know, absolutely. I'm with you on that.
So what's the most difficult story or scene that you've ever had to write, and why was it challenging?
What a great question. Probably Mind Gorilla, which is the first Judd Stone novel. And that's because it's like a pop star in it with its second album, and it's because that was my second book, and I was ambitious. Although it was only my second book, it was really, really ambitious, and it's a bit of a beast of a book. It's over 100 words long, and there's a lot going on it. And I tackled crime for the first time, and so. It was difficult in terms of weaving the story with so many layers that was so big, and following it up from Beneath the Floodlights. But I obviously done lots of research about it. It's set in 2012, so it's about a doomsday cult. And funnily enough, I wrote it in 2012, and just a little bit after. But I was able to therefore write it with the backdrop of the London Olympics going on and things like that. And I knew there was a lot of noise and things going on social media, on certain websites, on certain videos around the world's going to end. I never believed it, by the way, but the world's going to end in 2012 for all different reasons. So I thought, well, that's a nice little plot line there to have a cult going on. But I also married it with mind control, because and this is the funny thing, it became the Judd Stone series, but it was never meant to be a series. It meant to be a standalone, and the main protagonist was a guy called William Chamberlain, who was a detective chief inspector, and he had multiple sclerosis. But as his multiple sclerosis gets worse, his powers of telekinesis get stronger. So he uses a lot of mind control, and there are echoes of sort of real life assassinations that have happened, MK Ultra program, that kind of thing, where there are supposed to be programmed assassins out there. So that vibe took it. And Judd was supposed to be doing all this. Now, at the end of the book, started to get some reviews and just anecdotally hearing, oh, I really love Judd Stone. You need to do more Judd Stone. Well, who's the sidekick of William Chamberlain? But as it happened, Judd Stone's on his 5th novel now. So it became the Judd Stone series. But I guess that was difficult just because of the amount of research I had to do for all the various different topics in it, and with it being the follow-up and me being quite ambitious and going for I wanted to do a crime novel because it's kind of, everyone has to do a crime novel, but you want to be true to police procedure, and do you know what I mean? It's but if you haven't actually worked in the police, how do you know you're being right, correct about things? So the way I got around that was I made Judd the most unethical policeman you can think of, and he always breaks the rules. So it was all. So if you'd done it that way, it didn't really matter so much. What it achieved things by hook or by crook, if I should say, and he solves crimes and that probably in a way that you and I wouldn't, Crystal. Let's put it that way. So
yeah. So you said you do a series. Now, with a series, do you find that you have to one up yourself each time you do one?
I guess you do think that. I don't consciously put myself under that much pressure. What the way it works with Judd, because although they're a series, they're a little golden threads, but they are standalone. You could read book 4 before book 2 and book 3 before book 1, etc. But obviously, probably better to read them in sequence. But they're not a series where if you pick it up at what's coming book 5, you're lost. You don't know what's gone on before. They're not like that. And luckily, I think so far, because I've picked for each of the Judd Stone series a kind of original topic, certainly a thought-provoking topic. I feel that it's been able to give freshness for each different book. And the feedback I've had is that Double Fantasy, which is the latest one, is actually the one most people have enjoyed. And I can kind of get that to a bit, because I think as you go on as a writer, I guess your craft does get better and improve, if that's the right word, or evolve. But also, of course, if you're writing a series, you get to know your characters so well, almost like you know them, they're real people, so they can develop it through the series as well. So actually writing a series becomes quite easier in a way. I suppose if I took a step back and thought about it and put myself under pressure, this has got to be Luna, this has got to be Club 27. And Club 27 was one, that's the second book in the Judd Stone series. That was a topic that I thought was quite useful to weave a book around, because that's about the 27 Club, where all these pop stars who tragically die too young at the age of 27. But it's all something that's always fascinated me, and I wanted to weave a story around that. And I thought that topic might take some beating. And it probably does. If I had to choose my favourite topic of all the books, that's probably the one. But in terms of how a plot and story can unfold, it's been okay, touch wood, so far with the series.
Brilliant. So what's one of your most popular books, and how do you think it's resonated with your readers?
I think Club 27 is one of them. I think it's resonated with it because it's thought-provoking, because people have, some people haven't actually heard of the 27 Club, but it's opened the mind and eyes to that happens. And basically what it is, that there's a whole load of pop stars who have died at the age of 27. Jim Morrison from The Doors, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I've probably missed some more out. And you do start to think, well, hold on a minute, why 27? Now, people will say, and I'm not saying there is. Well, I do. When I present conspiracy theories or theories within books, I kind of don't give the answer. I just present that this is a thing, and I let the reader make up their own mind. I don't try and influence everyone to think a certain way. But people have resonated with that being a topic, because it's like, wow, yeah, that is fascinating. Why? Okay, some people will say it's because of their lifestyle, 27, they're going to go at 20. Well, why 27? Why not 26, 28, 29? You know what? It is quite weird that so many die at the age of 27. I don't know what the answer is, but it's just it just feels like more of a coincidence to me personally. So people have resonated with that one, especially as it's quite a thriller as well, because what Judd's doing in it is trying to prevent a 26-year-old pop star trying to become the next 27 club member. She's heading on her way to definitely be with her lifestyle, etc. But at the same time, he's trying to fathom out why on earth this happens, and it looks at numerology and things. So it starts to look at different ways why the 27 club could be a thing. So that's resonated with people. But then people have really loved Double Fantasy, the last one. And I approached that with a game of two halves, where, because I always like that idea in From Dusk Till Dawn, where the first half of the movie, the Tarantino movie, it's like a road trip with what's his name? The George who does the Clooney. George Clooney. Yeah. George Clooney, yeah. He's like a criminal that's on the run, and he gets in the RV with Juliette Lewis and Harvey Keitel, and then they come across this Mexico club, and it becomes a vampire movie. And I always like that idea of game of two halves. And it starts off with Judd thinks he's on a holiday, you know, he's going for a boozy weekend in Liverpool. He's been asked to be part of an 80s tribute band, because it's an 80s tribute festival with Madonna tribute acts, Wham tribute acts, Human League, you know, all the bands from the 80s. And it becomes a night of fun in Liverpool, but it gets chased into the countryside because they run across some gangsters. And then it turns into, so this is a true thing. There's a village called Crank in Merseyside, not too far outside of Liverpool. And it has legends. It has real legends. You can Google this and find this. And one of the legends is that the caverns had little people living in it, and 3 boys in Victorian times, I think it was, went down the caverns. Only one of them got out, and these little people are cannibals and speak in their own language. And soldiers even went down with torches to try and find out what was happening. And the other one is that, considering this is only a very little village, that there was a young girl who had a white rabbit, and these 2 horrible men who live locally, they thought her grandmother was a witch, and they kicked the white rabbit to death. But the white rabbit came back to sort of appear and tease them, if that's the right word, or tormented them till they eventually had their death. So I thought, well, they're 2 good real life legends that I can move into this. So Judd goes into, when he runs away, he ends up in this place with loads of 80s pop stars. Well, 80s tribute pop stars, including Elvis, by the way, because he did have one hit in the 80s. But it doesn't stop there, because where they find a safe haven where they think they find a safe haven in a storm, they understand it's sort of a bed for witchcraft. There's a pentagram on the door, and there's the caverns can be used for sinister purposes, because I've been in them caverns and they're a little bit spooky. And so I just morph it into it starts to be used for devil worshipping in there, etc., etc. And I probably shouldn't give too much away. I don't even know if I've answered your question now.
Yeah. So
people love that. That was it.
That was the end.
Yeah. So I went on social media, and I've got a reading group, which I'm glad to say. I love my readers; they're fantastic. And I said, if I could choose one book because that's every novelist dream, isn't it? That the film rights get bought and become a movie. I said, if you choose one book that can be a movie, what would it be? And the overwhelming majority was Double Fantasy. Few for Club 27, but Double Fantasy, which is the last one I've just told you about, was the one that was in pole position. So there you go.
Brilliant. So can you share a memorable reaction from your reader that stands out to you?
Ooh, a memorable reaction from a reader. That's a really good question. It's probably not a groundbreaking one. So there's the one I said where reviews started to say I want to see more Judge Stone, etc., which was unexpected because it was supposed to be a William Chamberlain standalone.
Yeah.
So that was good, and that happened more than once. So obviously, you take some notice of that, and I'm glad I did because Judge Stone series is really fun to write. But the one, it's not spectacular, but there was so I'd go and do sort of book signing events, and I hosted one this year, co-hosted one with a few other authors in Birmingham. But basically, if you think about market stalls, a festival, and all the authors have got their own table and they're selling their books, signed copies of their books. And I guess the nice one was, I say it's probably not groundbreaking, but this is what you want, innit? I did have a reader come to me very, very early doors of the actually particular event I was at. I can't remember which one it was at. And she said, I love so much, I want to buy the other books in the series. I love Judge Stone so much, I want to buy the other books series. And ever since then, she has obviously followed me and well, instantly, each time I release a Judge Stone novel, she's probably the first person to buy it. So that's what you want, you want loyal fans, and you're right, really, just to try and entertain people and to, it sounds corny, but to enrich people's lives and give them a journey from reading your books. So there's nothing more heartwarming, excuse me, than knowing that a reader has picked up your book and actually enjoyed it. That's what you're after, that's it, really.
That's what you do it for.
It is, yeah.
Now, you said there's shows in Birmingham, was it you said?
Yeah. So there was
I've not known any.
Oh, really? So
yeah, I've been looking this year and I've not seen any.
So we hosted this one in June, or was it July? It was July, tell a lie. It was July. And it was at the Birmingham Council House, and we had over 60 authors. We had special guests come. So we had Maggie and Vix from the 80s band Fuzzbox. We had Maggie Damond from the 80s band Scarlet Fantastic. All of them are from Birmingham. I'm actually working with both them parties to do some, totally away from the horror scene, some non-fictional music books. So look out for them if you like, real life sort of, or biographies and that kind of stuff. So they're coming. We had John Purdy, ex-footballer, come. So we had a few special guests, which was nice. And we, on the night, we hired out a part of the Brass House and had to put a canal boat trip on around the canals of Birmingham. And we had a bit of a celebration party after that, and that was all for the prize. Princely sum of £5 per reader. So it was good. So I'm sorry you didn't see that. We need clearly need to advertise more next time. We're thinking of doing it now. Actually, Crystal, this is hot off the press because it's only last night we agreed a new date and potentially new venue, and these things take a bit of planning, so it's not until 25th of April 2026. God, not 2016, 2026. But there is one happening in Birmingham next year. A fellow author called Nicky Priest is arranging that one. But this year, for example, I'm going to Brighton this very weekend, and it's billed as a Halloween one, Dark Side of Brighton. So I'll be going to that, and I'll be speaking on a panel as well as having my market stall of signed books for you to come and meet me and chat to me. I'm doing Leeds next year, and I'm doing Manchester next year. And I'm sure there's a couple of more I forgot. So I do a bit of a tour. So, yeah, but the place to find these things, am I allowed to?
Yeah, of course you are.
Social media thingy?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of these things are arranged on Facebook by all the different organisers. And you can chat, you can join sort of groups that are called things like, off the top of my head, UK authors and readers events signing events, whatever. You could join all these groups, and that's where you'll get in the know of where these things are going to happen. And then each event tends to set up its own Facebook group for that particular event, and the attending authors come in and do takeovers for the day, talk about their books, have a bit of Q&A going on. And so it's actually really good. And they are actually good platforms to really tie the community together. And the thing is with the author community, I've found everyone wants to just help each other. We're in it together, which is really lovely. It doesn't seem to, there are always going to be pockets of people who don't play ball, but in the main, it's very not a cutthroat industry. I found it's actually everyone's quite supportive of one another, and someone will put on an event, and then someone else will put on an event, and someone will share a new release of a book or a cover release. So it's actually wonderful to be part of the community, if I'm being honest. I love my fellow authors and my readers.
Yeah. I mean, everybody that I've spoken to, that I've done the interviews with, have said how friendly the horror community is. And I must say this every single interview, because it is brought up a hell of a lot. You've got books of horror is another one that's brought up the whole time. It is, considering you've got people that are killing people off in books.
I know, like it's quite ironic.
The friendliest bunch of people. So, it's definitely a good community to get in.
Yeah,
extremely helpful.
Funny, there's an old joke, if ever you looked at a horror author in particular, look at their search history. My God, they'd be arrested, you know what I mean? And we do pull people up, and we like gore and that, but I think my own personal opinion is because you're so actually far removed from that as a real person, and it becomes a bit of escapism to write that kind of stuff, and you like it and all of that, but you obviously don't play into that being what we want to happen, killing people off and that in real life. It is a bit of an ironic thing that you're quite right. Most horror authors you meet are actually dead nice people, aren't they? They're all dead nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
They're actually really nice people. Honestly, come and talk to me at my shows.
It's okay. I've just got a body under the table, but just ignore that. I'm a really nice guy.
Yeah. When I put my books in my boot at the end of the day, there might be a body in there, but don't worry about that. Joking.
He's not really. He's really not. So, are there any exciting projects that you're currently working on that you're excited about?
Yeah, so they are the music ones. I'm helping Fuzzbox co-writing their biography, and that's really exciting. I'm working with Maggie Demond, her late brother. He was around on the scene of the Rum Runner where Duran Duran were just starting off. So he took loads and loads and loads of early photos of Duran Duran. So I'm working with her to publish that. But I'll just refer to them quickly because they are exciting, but I understand this is a horror podcast.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so I'm actually writing... I'm being ambitious again here, Crystal, because I'm trying to write book 5 and book 6 of the Judge Stone novel at the same time, of the Judge Stone series at the same time, because I had the two ideas at the same time, and I thought I'll get. And as you can imagine, it's fun but also challenging at the same time. But book 5, it currently has the working title of When the Levee Breaks, because the music thing again, that's something Led Zeppelin. It's a Led Zeppelin. They weren't the original artists, but they, I guess, made the song famous. But it fit the title When the Levee Breaks fits what's happening, and basically Judd has got to solve a mystery of. There's a haunting from a girl. So there's an old Mexico legend, which is what I picked it up. And there's a place in Mexico I haven't been. I'd love to go, and it's called the Island of the Dolls or something like that.
Yeah.
And what it is, there was a young girl by legend drowned, and to appease her, I believe, because you can hear her wailing at night and that, they put all these dolls on the island, hang them up. So I thought, well, I quite like that idea. That's quite a neat, cool thing think feel sorry, obviously, if it's real that if a poor girl drowned, but in terms of crafting a story around that's a good topic. And so I brought that into Birmingham, Sutton Park, and it's obviously going to evolve from there in its early days. But why did this girl drown? What happened? And there's quite a sinister backstory to why that girl drowned, which is book 5. But she's haunting the place, etc., etc. The book 6 is looking a little bit dark at the black market of organs. So, sort of organs going for sale, like kidneys, heart transplants, lungs, and whatever, any body part you can think of. So I know we do them properly, but there is a black market out there, I believe, where they can be sold on for lots and lots of money. So sell a kidney for lots and lots of money. And so that's another topic that's quite early doors on that one. But that's the premise of where that story is going to take Judd, on the black market of organ sales, if that's the right way of saying it.
Yeah.
So bit grim.
No, but there is an urban legend, isn't there, about organ organ sales on the black market, of people waking up and finding themselves with a kidney missing.
Correct. And I remember that being very rife in our neck of the woods in Birmingham, that people wake up in a cold bath, wouldn't they, with iced bath.
Yeah.
And, after being spiked on a night out in Birmingham and their kidneys removed, one of their kidneys has been taken. So, it is an urban legend. You're exactly right. And it was quite right. And you know what? When I was a younger lad going up on town drinking and that, I used to worry that had happened to me. Madness, isn't it? Because it wasn't you took it for real. Definitely, but I do believe that it is not probably to that level, but certain communities, etc., shall I say, and certain underworlds, it does happen where organs are sold, unfortunately. What different things? It's quite worrying. Some more research for me to do, though, Crystal, but that's the basic premise of it, really.
Yeah, have fun with the research on that one.
I will. Just like I say, I hope the police don't come and check me me search engine history.
It always worries me if my husband falls down the stairs or something like that, just in case. and then sort of like they want to have a look at my computer just to see if I am actually a suspect, because I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all would. That's how you could do it, Crystal. You say, well, you look at my search history, go and look at all these authors' search histories who I've interviewed. You might find a better suspect there.
Okay, so what advice would you give to aspiring writers who want to break into the horror genre?
Wow, good question. I think, first of all, enjoy it. Be prepared to go in for the long haul. Don't think it's a quick fix. Don't think it's necessarily something you can make money at. I know there's always the J.K. Rowlings of the world, etc., but to be honest, to go in and make a really, really decent living at it and be a household name is difficult, and that's not a reflection on your writing. That's just a reflection on how the industry can work. And how many, and just the looks and breaks, it just depends who gets to see and read your book to give you that. But the first thing you got to do is enjoy the process, enjoy writing, and just get out there. So if you enjoy all that bit, just publishing a book, then that's the thing to do. And I think the other thing is, which I said earlier about how I approach it. I think it is to just go for it and let it flow. Just write, get it out, and then go back out, rather than. And other authors may disagree with me, and that's fair enough. But and edit it as they go along. But I prefer to get the story out and then go back into the editing. Just get your idea out, let it flow, get all the creativity out, shall we say, onto the page, and then that's a much better starting place, I think, to tweak with than to have restricted yourself along the way. So that would be my advice. But enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it. And also, which I've already alluded to, connect with other authors. You learn so much from each other, and other authors will help you as well with the different things you do, and be prepared to help them as well. And you're in it as one big family. I think that's the best advice I can give, Crystal.
Definitely. Networking is definitely a key when you want to market as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's the word, networking. Very good. That's the word.
So lastly, where can we find your books?
Okay, so I do have my own website, imaginatively called www.martintracey.co.uk. But this is what it says on the tin. All my books are on there, but it does link you to the books on Amazon, and obviously I've got my Amazon page where they're all harnessed all together. I don't mind people. You can contact me through that website, but my email address, so I'm happy to give that out, martinpaperbackwriter@yahoo.co.uk. I love to hear from, and you can sign up to my newsletter anyway. You can see me obviously at the events I'm doing. So if you join me on Facebook, you'll find me literally under my name. I do have an author page, but I should go on that more than I do, to be honest. But, you'll find my normal profile page, but that's where I push a lot of stuff. And it's just Martin Tracey, Tracey. I'm on Twitter at Martin Tracey1. I'm on Instagram as Martin of Molyneux. Your daughter will love that one, Crystal, Martin of Molyneux, being a Villa fan.
She calls it the custard bowl.
No, it's the Golden Palace, we call it. I know. Yeah, the Golden Palace, yeah. But yeah, I know that some people call it the custard bowl. They don't. But I suppose my website and Amazon are the main places to find me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, Martin. Thank you very much.
I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, Crystal. I really have had a blast. Thank you so much. Great questions, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I hope everyone enjoys listening to your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.